Welcome to another episode of Grid Tactical Tuesdays. This is the cash machine call for all the agents in our world. Grid is the largest investor network in the globe, led by agents. And this morning we are joined by an agent investor with a pretty great cash machine of his own, Tyler Gibson. Uh, Tyler, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
I love it. Tyler is in Orlando, and as we mentioned, we're launching Grid Orlando today. If you're curious about that, curious about Grid, gridinvestor.com, you can check all the locations there. And I actually met Tyler through Grid and through my relationship with Grid led to a relationship with Rob and Kaza, and that relationship led to us working with BiggerPockets, which we're going to be talking about today, right? BiggerPockets is the largest investor forum in the country. They've got podcasts, they've got books, right? And during COVID, when everyone was right either working on their home or getting excited about investing, really saw an explosion. They've been around for a long time. Some people have been very active on them for a long time, and we have a referral relationship with BiggerPockets. We tested their referral program. Tyler also has been working with BiggerPockets and BiggerPockets leads for some time. Came from it from a very different approach. It kind of blew my mind a couple years ago when we sat down and talked to Orlando about his data-driven approach, how he was working those leads, and he's got a new wrinkle on it to share with us today. Tyler, how did you get the bug to start in real estate? How'd you get hooked? What got you in?
It's a great question. Honestly, I saw a pattern of behavior displayed by my father. We moved a lot when I was younger. Whenever we would move somewhere new, he'd try to buy a house. When we moved away, he'd try to keep it as a rental property. And so after my wife and I were married, I just thought, I should probably own a rental property. I didn't really know why. He and I had never had a conversation about it. I didn't understand how it truly built wealth, but he was doing it. He seemed to be doing okay. I thought I should probably be doing it too. And so I came home one day, told my wife, hey, I think we should buy a rental. To my surprise, she didn't question me at all about it, didn't ask me for spreadsheets, details, anything, which that's the kind of person she is. If she can't see it in writing, it doesn't exist. And she said, okay. And so I told my real estate agent at the time, hey, we want to find a place that's close to our house, in this price range. And after looking at about four places over a series of like 4 months, found a place. My father actually was the private financer for that property. So I bought it with $5,000 down. It was a $115,000 purchase, which you can't even find anything close to that in the Orlando area today. But
Mhm.
really didn't know what I was doing. Kind of stumbled into it. Ignorance was bliss. I thought I could rent it for $1,000 a month. So little to no analysis done. But after I closed on the property and got that first rent check, I was hooked. The idea of getting mailbox money just excited me to no end. And so I went to Google and searched for a analyzer tool, something to help me analyze rental properties. And oddly enough, somebody had posted a spreadsheet on the BiggerPockets forums. That's what came up in the Google search. That's how I stumbled upon BiggerPockets. That was long before they had calculators on the sites and things like that. And I started to realize, wow, this is a wealth of information here on this site. Oh, they also have podcasts. I traveled a lot for work at the time, so I started listening to the podcasts religiously all day, every day, to and from work, just so hungry to learn how do I do more deals, especially when I've got limited capital. And so I learned about wholesalers, partnered with my family, bought another deal through a wholesaler that we still own today. And then, I became a father, realized I didn't want to trade time for money forever. So I actually got a new job so that I wouldn't travel as much once my wife became pregnant. With that new job, I had less responsibilities. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to get a real estate license just for my own sake, to be able to see more data, find more deals, build a rental portfolio. And then I sold my first house, oddly enough, to a BiggerPockets client, to a BiggerPockets person. And what happened was I updated my profile on BiggerPockets, and I'm going to show you guys here in just a minute what that looks like. But I told them I had a real estate license. And at that point, they just started to try to monetize their platform. So they reached out to me and they said, hey, we saw that you're an agent, you're active on the forums. And at this point, I had been posting at least once a day for about a year. So I had quite a bit of activity on the forums. We'd like to give you a free premium account. And I said, well, what's that going to mean? I mean, what's that going to cost me? And they said, no, no, it's free. We promise. We just hope that it brings you some value. And if you close a deal from it, maybe you'll pay for it. I thought, okay, but I don't have to sign anything or agree. No, you don't. So I said, okay, we'll do it. Well, somebody filled out the lead form that you get when you have a premium account. And that was the first person that I sold a house to. They didn't know that I was brand new. Actually, 2 years later at a client appreciation event, I introduced them as my first clients and they looked at me with shock. We were? Whoops. Didn't know I needed to disclose that with the first clients, but it was really interesting. And so one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys today about what I've done and what has really helped me grow my business, besides paying for the paid leads through BiggerPockets, which we can talk about, is actually being involved on the forums and generating organic, free opportunities for people that have an interest in real estate investing. And this is a powerful thing. Anybody can do it. All you need is about 10, maybe 15 minutes a day to sit down, write a couple of responses, send a couple of messages, and that's it. And so if it's all right, I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. I'm going to share my screen and we'll walk through what that looks like. Everybody ready?
Let's
Let's
go.
go for it.
All right. Let's share.
So while you're setting that up, one of the things that Tyler talked about at the very beginning, he mentioned a Ford framework, right, at Kickball, because these skills are transferable. So if you're brand new, you do not have to be great at everything. I just have to master one of these strategies, deepen those skills, and then hey, now I'm doing the same thing where I'm building credibility and social proof, right? And building relationships online. Tyler's doing that in his kickball environment. Like it transfers over. Great. Tyler, what are we looking at?
All right, so this is the BiggerPockets dashboard. I'm logged into my account. If you don't have an account, it'll look a little different than this, but you can sign up for a free account on the forums. It doesn't cost you a dime to create an account. The first thing that you're going to want to do is actually fill out your profile. And so, let's see, run a little slow. So we'll go to, oh, yeah, so taking me over to my profile here. You'll want to update the background image, update your photo, fill out the About Me section, right? Give it as much information as you can. If you have a business, you can create that here. Fill out your credentials. If you've done any deals, either representing a buyer or a seller, or you've done your own deals, fill that out here. Put as much information in your profile as you possibly can, because you want people, when they go to look at your profile, to realize you're a real person, that you're actually doing stuff, right? You see up here that it shows some stats about me, how many years, followers, following, connection, all that will build over time. If you put in, I mean, you can update your profile for your experience, but the other stuff will build over time. And you can see over here, recent forum activity. So what's really cool about this platform is that I have the ability to, I forget that you hover over and it drops down. I have the ability to go to settings.
Mm-hmm.
And in settings, they have this feature called keyword alerts. Click on alerts over here. So you'll see, I'm going to show you some of my keyword alerts. I've got all these different cities: Auburndale, Central Florida, Claremont, College Park, Davenport, Daytona, DeBerry, DeLand, Deltona. These are just a bunch of cities that are all within about an hour drive of Orlando. These are all the areas that I'm willing to service. The reason why I put these keyword alerts in here is because I want to know when people are talking about these areas. And so every day I get an email in the morning that shows me all the keyword alerts. Every time somebody is posted on the forum using one of these words or phrases. And what it allows me to do is go over to the keyword alert section over here. I see these conversations that are happening, and I can go into the forum. Now, I looked at this morning already, which is why it's checked off. And I'm actually not going to participate in this particular forum. But what I would suggest for you and what I did in the past was anytime somebody was talking about one of my keyword alerts, I was going to reply. I was going to respond. Now, there's two important things for you to remember. Number one, do not pitch or try to sell in the public forums. Don't say contact me. Don't say I can help. Nothing like that. Okay. Number two, add value. If you can't add any value, you're better off just saying, I agree with so and so, who already said what you were going to say. But say something, right? Participate in the forum. All right. Now, once I've posted on this forum thread, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click on this person's name, and it's going to show me their account. From here, I can click this little connect button, which is like a friend request, and it pops up. Do you want to send a message? Well, yes, I do. This is where I can pitch, right? Now, I'm not going to pitch, hey, I'm an agent. I can help you here. My pitch is usually something like this. Hi, my name's Tyler. I'm a local real estate agent and investor. I've helped people in this area in the past, and I've got some great resources I'd be happy to get you connected with. So feel free to let me know if there's anything I can do, even if it's just putting you in touch with a great property manager. Here's a link to my calendar if you ever want to chat. And that's it. That's all I do. And I send that message off. 90% of the time, I get a response. 40% of the time, I end up having a conversation with that person. Now, it may or may not be a good fit for what they're looking to do or what services I provide, but I got to have a conversation. Who else knows that this business is all about how many conversations I can have in a day? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is an incredible and impactful way to be able to do that. Now, the other benefit of doing this is that what I found is that people that are doing research, which there's a lot more people doing research on this platform than there are participating in conversations. But the
Mm-hmm.
people that are doing research on these platforms, they are using this search tool and they're looking for, what's it like to invest in Orlando? What's the Disney market look like? And they're looking and they're reading through these forum posts. And there's hundreds of forums posts about the Orlando area or the Disney area and all that. And so they start doing their research. And a lot of times they'll read through the first page, maybe the second page, maybe even the third page of people's comments on the post. But if they're going through 30 different forum threads, and as they're looking through and they see that I'm one of the first three people that responded on every single forum thread, oh, and they've noticed that Tyler's not pitching. He's just adding value. He's given some great insights. He really sounds like he knows what he's talking about. On multiple occasions, I've gotten random emails from somebody that goes something like this. Hey, I was on the forums on BiggerPockets and I saw that you were on there a lot. I'm thinking about doing X in Orlando. Do you think you could help me? When someone reaches out to you cold like that, do you think you have to compete with any other agents?
No, you've got instant authority and credibility, so you can actually consult them.
Instant authority and credibility. Now, there are a couple other tricks I would tell you about building authority on the platform. Because as I mentioned, I had gone for about a year posting every single day here on BiggerPockets before I ever got a premium account, before I ever started paying for leads. And so here's the trick to be able to do that. Because you're likely not going to get somebody posting about your specific city or niche every single day, but you do want to start building a profile that shows that you are really, really active. And so one of the things that you can do is, let me see if I can find the actual forums, go over to the forums section. Oh, there it is. I'm gonna hover over it again. Is you can click on this option right here called unanswered. This is the part of the forums where posts go and make people really, really, really sad. Because I worked up the courage to finally post on the forums for the first time, and nobody answered me. You can imagine what that could feel like, right?
Mhm.
It's a
Yeah.
little disappointing. So, one of the things that I did early on was I went into the unanswered discussions section of the forums and I would just browse through. And I didn't care if they were asking about my local area or not. What I was looking for were questions that I knew the answers to, or alternatively, a question that I thought was really interesting. Oh, I don't know. I don't know that, but that's a great question. I'm curious. What does that mean? And so if it was something I knew, I would simply give them, I would reply and give them some advice. Hey, this is what I think about this situation, or, you really should go this route, or, I think you should use conventional financing as much as you possibly can so you need to switch, right? These kinds
Mhm.
of tips and tricks that you would give to somebody, a friend of yours. And so I would go and I would do that. And if it was a question that I thought was really interesting that I didn't know the answer to, I would search the forums. I would literally take their question, post it into the search area, and guess what? There's a forum thread that answers that question. I almost guarantee it. And that's another reason why a lot of these unanswered discussions go unanswered, because they're asking the questions that's been asked. And so what I would do is I would just go take that link from that thread that answered their question, go back to their unanswered post and say, "Hey, I wasn't quite sure what the answer was, but I found it over here." And I would give them the link. This is what I gained from it, but check it out. And that's what I did for a year. And so if you're not quite sure how to get started, or you don't have a bunch of people that are posting keywords in your area, start by just answering people's questions in the unanswered discussions area. Add value, right? And what it does is it starts to build up your profile. I'm going to go back over here and I'll show you what that looks like. Because
Tyler, this is I want to just tag a couple things here that you're doing that are pretty amazing, right? One, it's the law of reciprocity. We talk about like, right? We give an unreasonable amount. It's the entire model that Grid is based off of. I love that. So it's coming from contribution and it's having a system, right? I've got a system and it started with contribution. I was on here participating, educating, being an active member of a community for a year, right? Got my license. It naturally flowed, but now I have a system to do it. And we talk about zone. Rob, can you break down zone really quickly? Because this is exactly what you're doing is how do I zone a market? And you're doing it at an incredibly, this is one of the best specific examples I've seen of how to do it.
Yeah, when we teach the zone framework, it's you've got to decide who you want to be the superhero to. That's the language that I use. Who do you want to be the superhero to? So you're being the superhero to the real estate investor, the person that's learning the real estate investor game. And then you have to own their mind share. And the way you own their mind share is by getting in front of them consistently, which you're doing through the forums. And then you need to nurture and grow a database. So you're probably taking these people that you're having conversations with and you're putting them into some form of CRM, I would imagine, right? And then you expand your influence. That's the E in zone. You expand your influence. Well, by being on the forums and coming from contribution and being a go-giver, you're expanding your influence. And then people are seeing you as one of the top three posts every single time. And they're like, dude, I don't know who this Tyler guy is, but he's incredibly helpful. He's in here. Oh, he's a real estate agent. He's an active investor. So they see you as the authority. This is, for anybody listening, such a great way to get into conversation farming a particular psychographic market, right? That's what this is. Like this is not only geographic because he's got all of the areas that he wants to dominate their mind share from. But it's psychographic because they are investors who want to build wealth through real estate. So literally, this is zone at its finest, right? My follow-up question, Tyler, is what is your system for it? Do you plug into the matrix every single day at 8 o'clock? Are you doing it at night? Like, do you do it every other day? Like, do you do it haphazardly, right? Um, do you have an assistant that does it? Is your AI doing it for you? Like, I'd love to know the tactics of how you execute the play.
Yeah. So I typically do it every morning. I have it set up so you can set up your notifications for the keywords to be instantaneous. And initially, that's what I did when I first started because I wasn't super busy. And full disclosure, when I started, I still had a full-time job. And so I was doing this as a part-time real estate agent. And
Mm.
you might think that that would create challenges for you in your business. If I'm a part-time agent trying to work with investors, they're not going to take me seriously. But I owned it. Every single phone call, I just told people, hey, by the way, I want you to know I am not a full-time agent. I still have a corporate job. So that means two things. One, I may not be available exactly when you want to contact me, but if you text me, I'll call you back as soon as I can. And two, it means I don't need you to buy a house in order to feed my family, which means that I'm just here to help. And
Wait,
sometimes the best way I can help is to tell you, don't do that deal.
Sun Tzu, man, I make the potential weakness my strength. Hey,
Bingo.
I'm not a full-time agent, but that makes me even a better fiduciary. I
Exactly.
love it.
So
Yeah.
that has shifted, right? I'm a full-time agent now, so I do need these commissions to feed my family and pay for my lifestyle. But I've been able to maintain that same mindset that I don't need you to buy. And I will tell you that indifference is a major game changer when you're dealing with these people. I'm sure everyone has heard the term commission breath. And so if you lead with that, people can smell it. They know it, that you reek of desperation. And their concern is you're going to let them do something that's not in their best interest because it's in yours. And so always lead with that indifference. I'm here to help, whether you buy or not. Most of the time, I talk myself out of getting commissions. And so, but what I wanted to show is as you post in the forums, it starts to show your statistics when you're posting. And as people like what you're sharing, they'll vote on it. Do you think if somebody posts on the forums and it goes for a week and nobody's answered them, that they might be a little discouraged?
Oh yeah,
If
of
someone
course.
finally comes and answers, do you think they're going to be grateful?
Very.
You think they'll give me a vote?
Yes. Yes.
100%. Now, I will say that at one point I had a virtual assistant going through and voting on all of my posts to try to bump those numbers. And you can certainly do that if you want. I don't think it's necessarily cheating, but this is how you can start to build that credibility and that, you know, expertise in your local market. And then if you want to upgrade into a paid lead gen strategy, BiggerPockets is more than happy to take your money. I
Hmm.
started doing their paid lead gen right after I sold that first house. It felt like a week after I sold the first property, they called me and said, hey, we're doing this new thing now. Give us some money. Maybe they were tracking my stats. I'm not sure. But the program has evolved and shifted. That was way back in beta in 2019 that they launched that. It's very different today. You pay per lead and you buy them in 25 lead bundles. But even still, with that, you have to treat it in the same way. You need to have speed to lead. You need to reach out quickly. You need to be value based. And when I'm having consultations with those people that are paid leads, I start by saying, hey, I just want to know who you are, what you're trying to do to find out if I'm going to be the right fit for you. Because if not, I want to get you connected with somebody else that might be.
Hmm.
By the
I
way,
have,
can I say something there very
Sure.
quickly? I found that script to be probably the most valuable script that I've ever had in my life is that indifference that you're talking about, Tyler. The day I started switching and just saying, hey, tell me a little bit about what your situation is, Tyler. And certainly if I can help you, I'll let you know. But if not, I want to point you in the right direction. So tell me a little bit about your situation, right? Then it releases the valve of pressure, and you could just have an open discussion and then truly point them in the right direction if they actually need that to happen, right? I learned that during the foreclosure crisis because there were so many people that were scared and they didn't know where to turn. I'm like, just, hey, tell me your situation. If I can help, I'll let you know. If I can't, I'll point you in the right direction. That helps with conversion. So anybody that's new here, having that attitude will help you convert at a significantly higher level. Okay, I'll shut up.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And the other side to that is that I don't want to necessarily commit to being the person to help them if what they're trying to do is something I don't want to do, right? I don't do fix and flips. Like if I find a deal that's a good fix and flip, I'll send it to my buddy that does it. But I don't necessarily need more people in my database that are doing fix and flips because I don't have the inventory for them. I've probably got 1,000 people that would do a fix and flip deal. Of those 1,000 people, there might be 200 that have actually done more than one fix and flip deal. And so I don't need to add more of that type of person to my database. And so that's part of that consultation also. When I say I don't know if I'm going to be the right fit for you, it's not even if I'm the right fit, but do I even want to work with you? Is that where I want to invest my time? And so that's why I've always taken that approach. Worst case scenario, you're going to refer them to somebody else and collect a referral fee. Part of the reason why I tell people in the forums I can get you connected with a great property manager is because I've got a property management company that services most of the state of Florida and will give me $1,000 for every client I give them. Why wouldn't I want to monetize every single opportunity that I can in a way that is beneficial to both of us?
So we talk about in the game of real estate, let's say if it was chess, I think the agent is the queen because it can move everywhere on the board, right? It's why grid is led by an agent. You're doing the same thing. You've created an ecosystem. And because I'm at the center of this ecosystem, the ringmaster, right? Not only does he in front of the he runs the circus and then he also puts on the show. So there's a way to monetize those relationships. And I had a mindset shift for that. It's like there is a great property manager out there that will provide incredible service and allow you to monetize that. The same with these other relationships because there's a client acquisition cost. That client acquisition cost is your time, your expertise, your credibility, right? And so when I create a system, right, that is mutual self-interest, hey, Tyler, I'd love to do that. And that referral that helps me, right, generate more business for all of us, right? Because real estate is like an economic engine. It generates massive revenue for everyone around us. It drives the economy. I love that. It makes so much sense. Like what I love about these frameworks that I've learned from doing this is when I have this conversation with you, it's a universal language when I talk to the entrepreneur. Like it makes sense what you're doing. It makes sense why you're doing it. I had some questions. I want to dive in the numbers because I know you know your
Hang on.
numbers. Do you want to hit this, Rob?
Yeah, there's just one quick script that I would like for others to hear very quickly. For a long time, Tyler, I was like you. I don't want to fix another fix and flip person. Everybody and their mother wants a deal, right? Like they're all want 70 cents on the dollar minus rent, or I can't help them as an agent because if I found that, like I freaking buy that myself, right? I do it. I do it.
I've said
I
that
do.
exact thing to people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, but I do want that person in my database
Yeah.
because that person will eventually buy their own home or buy a rental. And so my script for these people that are coming in fixing and flipping is like, well, tell me, Tyler, why do you want to fix and flip? Tell me a little bit about that. Like why? Well, I want to make money and I want to leave my job. Like some of these people are part-timers, right? They want to leave their job. And I said, I'll say, wealth is on the other side of fixing and flipping. It's actually on holding assets long term and building that business. And I can appreciate that you want to take that money and then you want to buy investments, like long-term assets. Where I feel that I can help you is if you tell me what you're looking for a fix and flip, I'll keep that information like in my database. I'll tell my team about it on the off chance we run across something we want to dispo to you. But the area that I could add the most value is to help you build wealth so that you don't have to work for the rest of your life. Would that be
Mm.
something that you would have an interest in exploring more deeply, right? And most people absolutely are like, yes, like I want to learn how to build wealth because ultimately the fix and flipper is no different than you and I, Tyler, right? They are active income as agents. Like we generate our active income as agents. They're generating their active income as fix and flippers or their W-2 job. But the goal is to shift that income from the cash machine. This is our language within Grid. Take this cash machine money and flip it to your wealth machine. And I can add value there. And by the way, if you need advice on how to lower your expenses with your mortgage and like think of me as your real estate financial advisor. That's how I want you to think about me, right? So just for those that are listening out there, you could still monetize that fix and flipper. It just may not be with a fix and flip. It might be helping them buy their primary, buy their. By the way, Tyler, I love this. How many times have you talked to a fix and flipper who they're looking for a fix and flip, but they don't own their own home yet? Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever asked the
Several,
question?
several times. And in fact, I
Yeah.
have a young man right now who's a truck driver, lives at home with mom and dad, makes good money. And that's what he called me about. He wanted to do fix and flips. And I pivoted. I pivoted that particular person and said, well, if you want to be a real estate investor and get in the game right away, the easiest way for you to do that is actually to house hack. Are you familiar with that? Boom! Guess what? Now he's talking to my lender to get a pre-approval for owner-occupant loan type, and we're in the process of trying to get him into a house hack. So yes, to your point, Rob, that's great. And by the way, I wrote down what you said about that fix and flip script because I'm gonna use that next time, and I'm gonna give it to
Yeah,
my
man.
other. So
Yeah, because Tyler, you've been in the game a while. Most people don't know the real game that they're playing, and you as their advisor need to show them the real game, right? So I love that. There's some questions on here.
yeah, I see
Justin, I know you
Sheree
had
has her hand
questions.
up.
Yep. Sheree, one sec. I want to just hit this. So and then I want to go to Sheree's question, but I want to tie this up. So let's say you do that script and now you're like, great, I just said I'm a real estate financial advisor and I'm on the journey. Like, I'm not even, maybe the best agent in my market. And now I've got to be a financial advisor. What do I do? Tyler already covered and he proved it. He went on to these forums, right? And he pointed in the direction of the answer. You don't have to have the answer. If you know, you have to be resourceful. You be a resource. And comes from, we had an interview with the top Coldwell Banker agent in the country at Lead Up. And he was talking about how he created his training program. And he just created a YouTube playlist, Tyler. It was amazing. And his agents didn't care that he wasn't the one telling them how to do open houses or that he was sending them the video from Tyler Gibson about how to build investor relationships. They were just like, thank you so much. Wow, you know everything. You just need to be the finger pointing in the direction. So you've got a library, you've got all these resources. If you're going into BiggerPockets, you're going to be educating yourself. It could be as simple as like, give them a copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad. If they got that, like, what's your reading list? What are the 5 books that they should read? If you don't know, go have a conversation with ChatGPT. Ask us. You've got resources. This is a great one, tax-free wealth. This is the one I've been on for a minute. So just know that if you're not sure about that, like step in, have that conversation. Yes, we've got a great resource for you, GridLink, which is we've developed an AI chatbot and we've fed in 17 years worth of content in there where you can go ask it conversations if you like the frameworks that we have. Cherie, what's your question?
Well, it's just a comment on top of what Tyler and Rob was saying. So when someone's doing a house hack, they can also buy a fixer-upper and get the renovation loan in order to do that. They can turn a one single family house into a 2-unit house, things like that. So there are ways that we can psychologically help them feel like they're not just house hacking, but they are like adding equity and value into the houses that they're purchasing. So just wanted to
Yeah.
say that.
And I love it because Tyler's story, again, I'd love it. It's like the hero's journey. You hear it echoed again. Tyler's story is the investor's journey, echoed again. His dad gave him the most basic playbook. He would buy a primary residence and he would hold on to it. That's the game plan. All your income earners, everyone that comes in that's an engineer, something like that. It's like, no, dude, if you're willing to move, you're a single guy, you don't care a lot. If you're willing to move every 2 years, I can show you how to build wealth in any market, right? Provided your income matches, the median prices, et cetera, right? I love that. Tyler, I want to ask you a question about the numbers. Yeah, Rob said he moved 6 times in 4 years. I noticed it was like 130 alerts, unread alerts. So what's kind of the math? Like, walk me through how many you're responding to. What does that look like on a typical day or week? Like, kind of, let's break the math down a little
I
bit on
mean,
the conversion.
it depends because you can get alerted on the same thread multiple times, right? Because
Perfect. Yep.
people are talking, and so that really depends. Where where I know my number is best is actually in our paid lead gen because it's pretty consistent, right? And so
Yep.
generally speaking, we close one out of every 25 leads within a 90-day period, right? That's about our average.
Yep.
I convert to an appointment 50% of those 25 leads. And I used to do that without ever making a phone call. I did all of that through automated emailing and text messaging, right?
Mhm.
Today, our automated text messaging hits them within 5 minutes. I think we send an email immediately and then a text message 2 minutes later because we do want to try to make it look like it's human, not just auto spam. And then we text them every day for 5 days with one of those last text messages like, have you given up on investing? Right? People hate giving up on anything, right? I got that from Chris Voss, right?
Yep.
Have never split the difference. Great book. If you've never read it, and I probably need to go back and read it again. So,
Yeah.
but that one little tidbit has made me thousands of dollars because they're not responding to you for 4 days, and then you hit them with the have you given up? And they're like, no, I'm really sorry, I'm just busy. Okay, well, when would be a good time for us to chat? And then you can kind of take it from there. Or if they say no, I'm not interested now, I hit them with the well, what's changed, right? Because you just told me 4 days ago you wanted to do something. Oh well, I'm not really sure where to get started. No problem. Why don't we jump on a call so I can learn about where you're at and where you're wanting to go? Maybe I can help you build a path. Okay, sure, that sounds great. I just turned a no, not right now, into I will talk to you right now.
Hmm.
And I want to talk to everybody right now, if for no other
Yes.
reason than to start to build some rapport so that they can start to think, wow, that guy Tyler I talked to, he really knows his stuff. I'm not ready yet, but as soon as I am, I'm definitely going to go talk to him again. And
I,
so,
this is a masterclass, Rob. Yes. And he already said it. He said it at the very beginning. This is a game of how many people you talk to. And you sharpen your saw. I don't know about anybody else, but when I was new, it was like some days I felt like a realtor when I was lead generating. I sometimes I didn't feel like it, but anytime I got to talk to somebody, that was just a reminder of like, oh, I know so much more than the public. So much. If I can just talk to them, man, now I'm in it. Now things start flowing. Now, right, this thing goes. Rob, go.
Everybody, it's just something for people to think about, right? Everybody that is on that forum has a dream,
mhm.
okay? And the dream revolves around real estate. And we are just the facilitators of that dream. So if you just think about like, hey, I help people achieve their dreams. It just on their timing and schedule, and I'm just here to help facilitate that. It takes this whole like ick that I think sometimes people have around like closing deals or like selling, and it's just like, hey, no, I'm just helping people move forward in life around something that they've already raised their hand on, saying they want to move forward on, right? So I hope somebody listening, that's a reframe of how they think about selling, right? And that was essentially Tyler's script that he just, hey, have you given up? I can develop a plan for you to move forward. He's just moving people forward on something they already said they wanted to do.
And Marie,
100%.
I
And and
love it.
and and I want to go back to that what Rob said. You are not the hero of the story. They are. You are simply the guide. And if you need a book to help you understand that principle, Story Brand by Donald Miller.
Love that
This is
book.
all this
Bro,
is what he's all about, right? He's all about your positioning in every piece of marketing and conversation should be, I'm a guide. I'm an advisor. You're the hero.
Tyler is on fire. I couldn't have scripted this better. We didn't even talk before this, by the way, y'all. Like, but yeah, Don Miller's story brand, right? The client is the hero. They are going on the hero's journey. You are the sage. You are the Virgil, right? To their Dante. That's the in Dante's Inferno, right? He's the hero. You're Yoda, right? It's you're taking them on that guide. You don't change. The client transforms. I mean, masterful. Go watch his videos. Like, go read if you want to get deep on this. Go read The Power of Myth. Like, expand beyond real estate. Like, right? We are working with people's deepest aspirations. And when you can talk about these deepest aspirations, these things show up again and again. And then real estate becomes like a vocation where I'm like, some of the best people that I know are people like Tyler, right? They are deeply thoughtful people that are engaged in their community, that are on a wealth building journey, that are empowering others, right? And we make a good living along the way and we get to build wealth. Maria wants to know what your business model is like beyond just, yeah, Joseph Campbell, that with Bill Moyer, that Power of Myth series is amazing. If you can go find it, it's on Amazon. Highly recommend it. It's beautiful. Um, Tyler, what's your business model beyond just like, hey, I just got started. I was a part-time agent, then I expanded, now I'm buying leads. What does your business model look like for your real estate team?
I mean, I would say that 85% of our closings come from BiggerPockets leads. Now, we've gotten super intentional in the last couple of years about nurturing the ones that we generated 4 years ago,
Hmm.
going back to those people, right? When I first started, I only focused on the ones that raised their hands right away, and
Hmm.
everything else just kind of sat there. Now we're more intentional of trying to send a deal at least once a month to the whole database, all 3,500 people, whether they're interested in that deal or not. Why? Because I just want to be top of mind, right? There's a gentleman that reached out to me probably 4 months ago that had been in my database for 3 years. Never did anything then. Now they're moving to Florida. They'd actually moved here and then moved back, and now they want to come back from the cold. So it's all about just staying in front of them. My team members are doing open houses. Why? Because you get to practice on the public. It's free. You get to meet people that you otherwise never would have met. They certainly have some sort of interest in real estate. They're standing in an open house, right? And
Yep.
again, our scripts in there are still about how can I help you? How can I give you something that you want? Do you know what every buyer wants?
More properties.
More options, more properties. That's right. Do you know what most agents send?
The same stuff they've already seen.
Everything they can get on Zillow. Active properties. Quick auto email. That's it. I'm done. Let's go find your house. They didn't do any work, right?
Hmm.
Other places where you can find deals, pending properties. Are we not all seeing the same statistics about the incredibly high cancellation rates the buyers are going through?
Yes.
Why are
Especially
you not telling
especially
them,
in Florida, right?
especially in Florida, right?
Yes.
So when we're standing in open houses, I got a big 6-foot banner. I don't have one with me here, but it says, "Wouldn't you like to be a cash buyer?" Cash is an acronym talking about all the different types of inventory that exists in the market,
Hmm. I love me a good acronym.
right?
Yes, you do.
Hold on, I got a flyer. I'll show it.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
So,
this also, by the way, we could bring Tyler
Oh, that's
back
cool.
for a whole open house class.
Yeah,
We've gone
Tyler.
down this. Yeah.
I'll just do this quick. So current listings, active rentals, sale pending, hidden opportunities, and then we've got this part over here, right? Oh wait, I have to pay my agent now? Because guess what? Buyer broker agreements. It's a new thing. A lot of buyers don't understand it. I want to call out the fact that they are technically responsible for this money and that we are not like other agents.
Oh, I love
Right?
it.
And so with this, I mean, I'm telling when somebody's standing looking at my banner, I go, hey, so have you been looking at any of the expired listings? Is your agent sending you any expired listings?
And they're like, what's that?
No. How about rentals? Are you guys looking at any rentals? No, we want to buy. Yeah, I know you want to buy, but there are some landlords, they're accidental landlords, right? They inherited the property or they moved and couldn't sell. They might sell if given the right offer. So what we do is we also look at rental properties that match your criteria. And if you like it, I can reach out to the landlord and see if he'd be willing to take an offer on that property. Now, have I had to do that very often? No. But for the right buyer, absolutely. If they sign a 3% agreement with me, I'm going to go work harder than the other people that are just sending auto
Hmm.
emails. Expired listings. Look, if I said we send expireds because that person wanted to sell, they just couldn't for some reason. If you like the house, I'll go knock on the door and see if they still want to sell. Right? So there's lots of different ways. And so we're big on open houses. Your sphere of influence is huge. And then we focus on this investor market, this investor niche. And so that's what we've been focusing on. What I teach my team is your sphere of influence is going to be the easiest place for you to pick up buyers, and open houses is the easiest place to pick up buyers.
How long have you been an agent for now, Tyler?
October 2019 was my licensing date. We went full time October 2021. I actually was at the BiggerPockets conference sitting on a panel with Avery Carl and a couple of hard money lender guys, and got to stand up in front of the entire audience and say, because of this platform, I quit my job and I'm now financially independent.
I
Not
love
quite
that.
financially free like Rob over here, but financially independent, right? I don't work for anybody else. I'm going out and getting it on my own.
And what has this done for your wealth journey? You know, you talked about that buying that first rental like just unlocks something in your brain. That's the journey. Everyone here, that's the agent we're here. We want you to go on that wealth journey. Get high on your own supply, sample the products, buy real estate, right? What's that done for you?
Well, it's made me overall just it changed my whole mindset about money. I buy rentals, but I don't buy rentals for today. I buy rentals for the 55 and 65-year-old version of me, right? And being able to explain that to a person who's talking to you about buying a rental and they're like, well, I don't like that it doesn't cash flow very much. Okay, but let's look at the other ways that real estate builds wealth. And by the way, you have a job now, right? So you don't need the $100 that it'll generate.
Hmm.
The
Tyler,
65,
Tyler, let me double click on something very quickly. Like this is
yeah,
because young Rob, when he first started in this business, was like, oh, I'm gonna buy all these rentals and like hang out at the beach and let the cash flow pay for my life. And then you very quickly learn that's not reality, right?
right.
That's not reality. That you have to create cash flow in a cash machine job, which is like being an agent or construction or flipper or developer. And then your, 50, 60, 70-year-old self is going to thank you for all of those little banks. That's how I think of like a piece of real estate. It's like a
Yep.
little insurance policy or a bank that you purchased that there's a payoff 20 years later. So you've got to play the long game, right? And so many people today want it now as opposed to thinking long game. So that's all I want to say.
Uh,
Um,
so final thing about how it's affected my journey is I will tell
Yes.
you that I can't tell you how many times I had a conversation with an investor and their response was, "You're not like other agents." Because when you understand the investing side of real estate, you immediately differentiate yourself from 90% of everyone else in your market that has a real estate license. It's inevitable. If you understand creative financing, you're in the top 1% of people in your
Yes.
market that have a real estate license. And so the investing part of what I've done is has really helped me become somebody in this market where other agents go, you should talk to Tyler. He knows about that stuff. And
The
so I think that's what's been huge.
it's what the stats that I think I heard last year were something like 80% of agents retire with only the equity in their primary residence. They're 15 years into the game. Go check out the NAR demographics. I haven't seen the most recent ones if they've updated them, but it was like 15 years in, and your median income is 85,000, which once you back out your self-employment taxes, a lot of folks could have had a better cash machine working a regular job with benefits and
Mhm.
right. I love this. So Tyler Gibson, right? You can find him on all of the platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, BiggerPockets. I would certainly go find Tyler on BiggerPockets, right? Um, and and Tyler, if I can, I want to ask you, so I don't see some questions here. You are in one of the hottest, most unique markets in the country. Orlando has grown over 50% like since COVID. I mean, just massive, insane expansion. You're also a market that is kind of sort of a bellwether, right? The coasts are, you look at Vegas, you look at Phoenix, you look at what's happening in Florida, and they kind of tell a story of what may happen in the rest of the market. What are you seeing? What do you think your prognosis is for 2026?
I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. And that's not just my opinion. That comes from the data, like the lead data scientist that does the projections for the US government. I heard him speak at BiggerPockets conference back in
Hmm.
2021, and he was talking about what he thought was going to happen in the market. And he stated that he thinks there's going to be a big financial crash that'll affect the entire United States economy at some point here in towards the end of 2026, and it'll be because of interest rates. But and new Fed chair, so we'll see what happens there. But we are seeing more defaults here in the state of Florida. We are seeing more short sales, more foreclosures. There
Are,
is pain happening in this market.
are the cause of those, is it people that bought at the height of the market, or is it other economic factors, job loss, medical? What do you see that's driving those short sales foreclosures?
Most of it is people that bought towards the height of the market at in 2022, right after interest rates had shifted to be double digits, right?
Gotcha.
6.25,
Date
7%.
the rate,
Right.
right? I was
Uh,
we're told date the rate.
some of them
Yeah.
were data raiders. Some of them were just, it, they lost a job, right? They were fine until something happened in their financial life, and now they can't, right?
Hmm.
Because we've seen prices in Orlando come down. I mean, rental rates in Orlando have receded significantly in the last 2 years. Now, a lot of that is due to how much inventory was built because of large apartment complexes, capital being cheap, all that kind of stuff. But
Yep.
we've seen prices come down, and it's definitely a buyer's market. And so yeah, I mean it. I don't think it's going to get better, but I think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Two data points you could check out. Tristan Ahumada just posted in Lab Coat Agents talking about the effect DR Horton is having on the market. They are so efficient and they are committed to creating entry level inventory that in our market, they say, hey, we want to drive down the entry level, the median price point, which is a great thing for affordability, right? The second one that you could go look at, oh, it just escaped me, but I will share this why this is not 2008, right? People are in fixed rate mortgages.
Mhm.
And everybody at one point, 1 in 4 Americans were underwater, right? But if you were able to make your payments, man, long term, you love the fact that you got that house, even if you got it in 2006 or 2007 or 2022. because real estate is pegged to inflation. You own a real asset. So just like owning long-term holds, that primary residence long-term is a perfectly good store of value. It won't keep you rich, but it will keep a roof over your head. And we're not going to have that drastic explosion of inventory, right, in the market. But I do think, right, Tyler, it's this time it'll be something that happens outside of real estate that then has ripple effects in real estate rather than the bomb going off inside the house.
Yeah, I don't see any indicators within the real estate industry itself to say that there's, a canary in the coal mine there that is going to, affect everything else. But it's just there's just so much going on in the American economy, internationally, that there's just a lot of volatility. I will say that, we have a lot of fuel reserves here in the United States. Who knows if we actually control Venezuelan oil or not? But all of that is tied to pricing as well, because everything in our country is either made by a byproduct of gasoline or energy, or it's transported on a vehicle that uses gasoline. So gas prices are tied significantly to the cost of goods here in the United States, including homes. And so lots of things to keep an eye on. But I think overall the market's going to stay pretty much flat here in Florida. And then if we see some sort of major economic upset, then we might see some additional price reductions this year. But if you have the capacity, it's a good time to be buying in Florida. Lots of inventory sitting on the market for multiple days at a time, hundreds of days. And that gives you a good opportunity to at least go out and make lowball offers. That's what we're telling all of our buyer clients. Make offers, even if they're insulting, because you never know what the other person's situation looks like. And it doesn't cost a dime to make an offer.
I love that. What a great way to close. I did think of this future Tactical Tuesday guest, John Brooks, up in Jacksonville, did a great video. He's got a great YouTube manager. So if you go to his YouTube, it's going to seem very eye-catching, some provocative headlines, but the data is sober. And what he talked about is the gap. If you look at the wealth gap between millennials, the next generation of buyers, and boomers, there's going to have to be some sort of correction when you look at the income between prices, and hopefully that's boomers being smart and using that equity and buying it down or something. But there's a significant gap between where wealth is now and where it is in the future, right? That's one of Rob's theses is put yourself in the path of growth, right? Put yourself in the path of growth. You can make good long-term decisions. Tyler, thank you so much. This was incredible. It was so great spending time with you, my friend.
Yeah, it was great being here. And if anybody ever has anything, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to help.
Be excellent, y'all. Go take some territory this Tuesday.